Breeze, topic number 3 says the fatherless confuse the nation they are supposed to protect and provide. Is Zadi going to hear our cries? This came with a link. I think Bakari was trying to get on. Bakari, I missed it. You could come back up as soon as you have a chance. This came with a link that goes to Twitter. It says, this is a very long but very educational on the state of Chicago. Someone just mentioned Chicago and our country because of Kamala Harris. So let's see what this is about.
Let's go ahead and get into this.
Gangs in Chicago are angry over the influx of migrants and criminals in their city. They say money that should be going to the African American community on the South Side is instead going to what they call non-citizens, and warn that turf wars between Chicago's gangs and groups like Venezuela's Tren de Aragua could see Chicago, quote, go up in flames. Photographer Matt McDermott and I traveled to Chicago's South Side to see what was happening for ourselves after we heard about a police report last month that the Tren de Aragua gang had taken over an office building there. We spoke to a number of young, hardcore gang members, as well as gang elders who have retired from the life, and just regular citizens who are very much part of the community. And they're all furious at the estimated $500 million that's reportedly been funneled toward new migrants in Chicago since 2022. They aren't happy either about what they say are Venezuelan criminal gangs that are leaving the shelters and spilling out into the South Side into abandoned buildings. I spoke to Tyrone Muhammad of Ex-Cons for Trump, who runs a street patrol and violence prevention program. He's gone straight since his days as an enforcer for the Gangster Disciples. And he said the situation is very tense on the South Side as turf battles between the local gangs and Venezuelan migrants heat up.
It is impossible to release gang members and criminals into our country through the borders and broken walls, and then infiltrate them in our community that's already impoverished, that's already broken, that's already disinvested. And when the black gangs, the leadership in the black gangs in Chicago get fed up with the illegalities and the criminal activity of these migrants or non-citizens, the city of Chicago is going to go up in smoke, it's going to go up in flame, and there's going to be nothing that the National Guard or our government can do about it when the bloodshed hit the streets, blacks against migrants.
Zach Massey did time in state prison with Tyrone Muhammad, although he's only 27. He's a leader on the streets and said he's disgusted by the money going to Venezuelan migrants at the expense, he says, of the African American community.
I finally actually talked to him on the translator app, and he told me all the things that he got going on, how they help him get car, apartment, clothes, link. So it's just like, I just be looking at it like they ain't got no Social Security, no, where they come from. He probably not even here legally.
Get right here, they get quick housing, quick funding, food. They get cars with no license. They can't even read English and stuff like that. So they get all these perks when they get here, and we still here starving. So what we gonna do about it? Are y'all gonna listen to our cries?
Corey Rogers was a Blackstone gang member for years. He drove us around the South Side and showed us areas where he said Tren de Aragua and other criminal gangs are setting up shop, and what he called showing the flag, which means brandishing their weapons in front of like a housing project.
The migrants that are coming, they're taking over every block right now in this area. Right now, you don't see them because they come out at night. They said they took this courtway over probably by last week. He said it was 100 Venezuelans standing out in the front right here.
Terry, is it an abandoned building? How do they just take it over?
They just, when you take over something, you just stand outside, and that's called showing the flag.
What kind of guns?
Semi-automatics, anything you name, you're gonna see it on the street. These boys got so many big guns that if they're 150 pounds, the gun is bigger than them. I swear.
But they know how to handle it, right? They know it. Tell me about the fact that they're criminals, right? This is a criminal element. These aren't just a bunch of Venezuelans that walked over the border and used to be gardeners back home, right?
Right. No. They come from the gangland. They come from rougher gangs than us.
Control works, though, according to Democrats, right? According to Democrats, gun control works. except when it doesn't, right? It doesn't, because apparently they're smuggling guns into these migrant shelters, these facilities, via the food that comes in, all of the supplies that come in and stuff like that. They're smuggling weapons, they're smuggling drugs, they're running prostitution rings. I'm telling you, I mean, these little cities, they're going to turn into third world countries. That's what's going to happen. I mean, New York City has basically become Caracas at this point.
A Venezuelan gang has now reached New York City. Law enforcement officials are working to control the growth of Tren de Aragua, a gang that started at a Venezuelan prison, making its way to the United States and other countries. The NYPD says the gang is behind a string of store thefts targeting high-end items. Officers have also connected Tren de Aragua to ride-by robberies, which is when gang members ride around on scooters, snatching cell phones and expensive watches from people on the street. The NYPD chief of detectives says there were 415 scooter-related robberies at the beginning of June. But as of September 10th, that number has doubled. So far, the NYPD has identified 24 Tren de Aragua members out of the 14,000 known gang members in the city. But they believe the number of Tren de Aragua members is much higher. Police say they've been quick to blend in, and the gang is believed to recruit members arriving in the U.S. from inside the city's migrant shelters.
Residents and community leaders in Jackson Heights, Queens are once again sounding the alarm. They say crime of all kinds continues to take over the bustling Roosevelt Avenue business district.
Every corner is bad. I just witnessed a major drug deal, a wad of money right on the corner.
Those who live and work on or near the popular avenue say they are inundated with shoplifters and sidewalks with dozens of sex workers. A scene they say has gotten worse in the last few months.
There's a lot of good people, a lot of immigrants who like to work, like you see in the restaurants, like me and everybody. But a little new immigrants, they come here, to rob people, and a lot of prostitution.
Pix 11 News has exposed the illegal business of sex workers multiple times over the years, including when the NYPD broke down the doors to prostitution parlors in January of this year. But the cleanup efforts seem to have no impact.
24 hours a day, there's prostitution running wild here. There is clearly sex trafficking. We got rampant drug sales.
Former council member Hiram Montserrat and Ramon Ramirez, founder of the Let's Improve Roosevelt Avenue coalition, will be presenting to local and state officials a 5-point plan to tackle the uptick in illegal activities.
At least 120 police officers. We need both the 110 and the 115 precinct to receive an additional 50 police officers each. And we need this avenue, Roosevelt Avenue, to be under the command of one police precinct.
Business owners and workers tell us they are losing money because they are constantly getting robbed by gang members and criminal organizations.
Sometimes the people go and take it and run away. That's happened like 6 or 7 times in this month.
Donovan Richards should bring the mayor here with Moya and see if they can do the walk that we expect our children to do every day.
Yeah, so I want people to understand, this is not just limited to these big Democrat cities. As you can see, Democrats, they want these illegals to be placed in small towns, okay? It's coming to small town America across the country. That is what's happening, right? What you see happening in Chicago, New York City, you see it happening in Springfield. I mean, I did a story about this happening out in Alabama, right? Where you have the illegals that are being imported into these cities. Yeah, it's going to be happening across the country. And nobody's city, nobody's neighborhood, okay, nobody's small town is exempt from the impact of illegal immigration, the negative impact of illegal immigration. And that's what people got to understand. A lot of people think they're insulated. Oh, it's not going to affect me. It's not going to hurt me, right? This is not something that's going to impact me until it does, right? And then they'll be boo-hoo-whining and crying and saying, oh, well, I can't believe this happened, but you voted Democrat, right? This is basically what the black citizens of Chicago went through, right? They all voted for Brandon Johnson, even though Brandon Johnson told them straight up, I love the illegals, right? I think we should be a sanctuary city. They didn't expect to actually have to deal with the consequences of it. And then they're dealing with the consequences of it. They can't stand it, right? They're boo-hoo, whine, and cry, justifiably, right? Justifiably. But I'm just saying that you should have known, you should have known that allowing unfettered illegal immigration, that being pro-open borders, that sanctuary cities was not a good thing. It should not require you to go through this in order to realize that, hey, this is not good for the country. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
All right. Let me just say this.
I gotta go. Can you let me go? I gotta go. As a New Yorker, I gotta go.
Actually, someone else asked me to go first because they have to leave. So, Real Black Gentleman, go ahead.
Yeah, before I say that, I just want to say the positive thing for the week. Janet Jackson, speaking truth to power, speaking her piece about how she feels about people. So I'm just going to say that, power to her, protect Janet Jackson, right? But about this, look, I don't like the title. I don't like who sent this in, but it just comes across as saying that black, the fatherless, black men, are somehow impotent to this. It is mocking the response that at young black men, you know what I'm saying, are having about, you know what I'm saying, what they experience about how people are getting resources, how this is very, very structured and strategic about how these people from elsewhere are embedded in the midst of the United States, and especially particularly in black urban centers. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I mean, I think I just want to know. I mean, I don't, if it was someone on this panel or someone who usually speaks in, which I'm afraid I doubt, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta because the dude asked that question, like, who is going to hear our cries, and they're saying, is Zaddy going to hear our cries? It's like, yo, like, what about what, you know, any other demographic, you know what I'm saying, especially females could understand like a sense of despair, and like could, like, you know, the alternation of adjustment towards furthering a solution to this isn't to mock the people who are in the midst of it, thrust into it and responding as if, you know what I'm saying, all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, you know, the supposition of a protecting and proposition, which is cliche as hell, which I want to say is a feminist talking point. That's all I wanted to say. You know what I'm saying? They're funding people, wherever you're from. If your country, right, just had randos from elsewhere, right, and just gave them all kinds of money that, you know, is all kinds of money relative to your daily expenses, is exorbitant. Of course, you'll be talking and saying what's going on, instead of being like, you know, the people who's doing this is like a few people. It's like the whole like government, Biden and them, who just all of a sudden the border just open like gully. You know, you can make arguments about, you know what I'm saying, Republicans and, you know, people with money needing people to do that work and don't care about that, but yet still this open is open. And so like all this rando shit from random people, they coming in everywhere and just look, you know what I'm saying? I think whoever did that wanted to get a rise. I think it was worded. It's very tacky. I'm just going to get out. But thank you for your time, man.
Thank you, Real Black Gentleman, for voicing your frustration there too. I do appreciate that. I think all of that will be addressed in a second, but I do appreciate that, and I hope we'll see you next week. All right. With that said, let's go to Kofi. Kofi, the Black Critic. What say you?
Yeah. Wow. There's so much to unpack here, and no disrespect to the brother that just spoke, but again, the Republican bullshit is working. So let me say this. So I don't know if you guys catch it. This is the Black conservative. The guy that's the Black conservative perspective. This is not a bipartisan perspective. It's not a fair perspective. It's a one-sided perspective, right? He's a famous YouTuber called The Black Perspective. All the Black MAGA coons and all the MAGA, that dude is a MAGA. This dude don't know what the fuck he's talking about. When Trump was here in the Bronx, and he has a video saying, look at all the support that Donald Trump has in the Bronx, and you saw nothing but white people. This guy was so confident in what he was saying. He's showing nothing but white people, and anyone that's from New York City knows that there's like probably like 3-4% of white people that live in the Bronx, especially in that area in the Bronx, is nothing but Black and Hispanic people. They even have people even saying that all these cars are from out of town. I'm only saying to say that you can't, this guy is not a credible source of what's going on. That's number one. Number two, yes, there is, again, I live in New York. There is a migrant crisis. I'm not going to deny that. That's why I'm not denying that. I was even taking the train to work one time, and someone was screaming, like, this is unfair. You got all these migrants here and stuff like that, and they're getting this and they're getting that, and look what is Black people getting. That's a valid concern. But the part they were talking about in Jackson Heights, saying, oh, there's all these drugs, there's all these crimes, all this prosecution. Bro, Jackson Heights had prosecution since, as far as I know, since the 90s. It was always there. So being hyper-focused on it right now, like it's something that the migrants did, is bullshit. Jackson Heights, all Corona, Ksenia, all those places in Queens, there was always a prostitution ring there since the 90s. So this fear mongering, again, not saying it's not getting worse, not saying crime's not getting worse, but to say that these people specifically brought a element that was never there, it's absolutely false. 2, 3. When they were talking about the gangs in Chicago, and another thing that other gentleman said, that the border is open. Again, he's repeating Republican talking points. At no such time, I give anybody $20 if they could show me a time during the Biden administration where the border was open. He's repeating Republican talking points. The border. So what they're saying, that there's no border patrol and there's no ICE, right? And we all know that that is a lie. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did not disband border control. So when you got Republicans saying open border, they're full of shit. What they're doing is fear mongering, right? So that's falsehood. So when you have migrants, or the reason why the migrants are in places like New York, why they're in places like Chicago, because these are not border states, but there are quote unquote sanctuary cities. You had Republicans, your great white hope, your great orange fucking hope, was busing like Greg Abbott, which is the governor of Texas, was sending migrants, which is trafficking, was sending them to New York, was sending them to Martha's Vineyard, was sending them there, was sending them to Chicago. That's why they're there. You want to champion as Democrats as the bad guy for the situation, when your fucking Republicans is the one that actually sent them there to cause that. So going to the Chicago issue is that, before I go to the Chicago thing real quick, the reason the migrant problem is a problem for the Republicans and the Democrats. They both are at fault, right? Because the Democrats are too lackadaisical about doing something about it, and the Republicans are too xenophobic and racist to do something about it. So as of lately, you got to put it on the Republicans, because during the last, Donald Trump told them that they had a border bill, well, a conservative border bill that was supposed to be passed. And Donald Trump, not even elected official, saying kill the bill. The speaker, Mike Johnson, was saying that the bill is dead on arrival. So if you fucking Republicans are so concerned about the border and the border being fucking open, you showing they either being dishonest or you showing your political ignorance. You should be getting mad at the Republicans. That's why there's no border bill happening right now. So I'm saying that to say what's going on in Chicago is bad, and I do feel what they're trying to, how they feel like, hey, look, we've been trying, because I saw a story before that, look, we can't even get after school programs. Now, I'm going to say I don't know if they're being funded through through Illinois, the state, or they're getting funding from the government. But either way, it's a bad look for Illinoisans, for Black people that live in Chicago, that's fighting to get certain on social programs. And you got some newcomers come in and they're like, yo, what the hell? How they're getting all these things and we can't get these things. So that is a legitimate gripe. That is a legitimate thing that thing that they want. But to point the finger at, again, it's an ongoing problem, because he said they're going into abandoned buildings. So sure, this problem was never fixed in Chicago. The Black infrastructure in Chicago was never fixed. So you have a whole new people flooding in. They're going to go into these little niches, right? Why? Because it's already a broken system, right? So all the things that has not been done, so from past elected officials or whatever, are to blame, as well as the ones right now. But to solely point to, well, it's just the Democrats and, oh, it's an open border and all this bullshit, shows that you're just really politically ignorant, or you're just being a Republican shield. But this is something of a concern, and Black people do need to make noise about that. And because Black people in that area has been looked over, specifically in Chicago. So that's pretty much it.
I appreciate that, Kofi. Should restart with number 3. The fatherless confuse the nation they are supposed to protect and provide. Quote, is Zaddy going to hear our cries? With that said, let's hear from Black Steel on this. Black Steel would say.
Oh man, it's been a rough night, man. It's been a rough night. Some of these prompts have been torturous, man. From Charleston White to this dude right here. Oh my gosh, I feel like I must have did something.
Hey, Black Steel, fight through it. Fight through it, Black Steel. Fight through it.
Oh man, I'm sorry, Coco. Whoever I did, I'm sorry. So, couple things with this. First of all, to Kofi's point, this is black MAGA or a blogger, as Bakari would say. But I mean, first of all, who's to say that money was ever gonna be sent to you anyway, black people? I think that these reactionary black people sometimes I think they miss they can't see the forest for the trees, right? There was no they haven't been, it wasn't as though white people had been giving black people all this money and then they stopped giving it to them and then gave them to the immigrants. No. They wasn't giving them this money in the first place. There was no money for schools. There was no money for after school programs or food. That money was never going to be for you black people. Sorry. Hate to be the one, the bearer of bad news. Y'all wasn't gonna get shit because they don't want to, and you can't make them. So this is the overall power, and I think that it's unfair that they turn one marginalized group of people against another marginalized group of people, and then the white people, the people who are in charge, are the ones laughing behind the scenes. So here we are getting upset because we're fighting over crumbs from the table, and a few immigrants from Latin America got a few more crumbs than we did. And this whole thing about the the Venezuelan gang. Remember that story about the Venezuelan gangs taking over the apartment complex in Colorado? It turned out to be a hoax. That didn't happen. And yeah, that was a hoax. That was not true. And then here's the thing. Here is my overall issue, right? The Republicans have no policy. They have no plan, right? There's nothing. Remember, they asked Trump what was he going to do to replace Medicare. They said he has the concept of a plan.
He said he has a concept of a plan out of his own mouth. He said
Trump
that.
said have a concept of a plan. It's like when I saw the one movie, the Marvel movie. I'm making an educated wish. Hey, what are we talking about right now? You're making an educated wish. Or I have the concept of a plan. I don't have a plan, but I have the concept of a plan. The Republicans have no policy to deal with any issues Americans have. The only thing they have is scapegoating. And it's right now, last week it was the Haitians, right? That are eating dogs and cats. That wasn't true. Now it's the Venezuelans. Then I'm pretty sure black people, it's going to turn around. It's going to be us again. These people have nothing to offer their constituents, but the simple fact that they hate the same people that they hate. You hate immigrants? Hell, we hate immigrants too. You hate black people? We hate black people too. You hate gay people? We hate gay people too. You hate liberals? We hate liberals too. It's just they have nothing. They're morally and politically bankrupt. But they'll come up here with these stories, and of course they got black people to participate, because what part of white fuckery is there that black people don't participate in? There's always some black person hanging out with some white people doing some crazy shit. You got black Mormons out there. Sometimes you gotta let white people have some shit, okay? Black people want to be a part of everything. It's okay to let white people have some shit to themselves. I'm totally okay with that. So let them white people be patriotic assholes. Let them be MAGA. We don't need a blogger to go with that. So this whole idea that these immigrants are just coming in, they're taking our jobs, they're stealing, they're bringing in crime. This is literally word for word from the Republican Party national platform, because they don't have anything else. And the fact that you got black people going along with it, participating in this farce, there's plenty of stuff that you could criticize the Democrats on. I'm not a Democrat. I don't support the Democratic Party. But this ain't it. This is not it. This is really sad. I mean, I guess it's to be expected, right? But at the same time, it's still ridiculous overall what they're trying to do. And ex-cons for Trump. I mean, the fact that Trump is a convicted felon, I don't know. Maybe that's why they identify with him. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they just found some gang members in the community. And what I think is the problem is that I think that a lot of people feel neglected by the Democratic Party. And there's issues with the Democratic Party. But I think what happens is that because of our dissatisfaction with the Democratic Party, they turn around and they go into the hands of MAGA instead of, going into a more systemic, instead of going further to the left, they go further to the right. It's mind blowing to me. And again, there's plenty of things we can critique the Democrats on, plenty. But just because you don't like their policies, don't mean It's like when black people go from they complain about Christianity being a colonizer religion, Christianity being the white man's religion, and they turn around and they join Islam. What are you doing, right? You go from one colonizer religion to the other colonizer religion. What are we talking about? All right, I'll leave it there. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Black Seal. I know this is no punishment. This is no punishment at all. These were topics that kind of lined up, and I lined them up and hope that we could connect them. Similar to what Afro Native World in the chat is doing right now. You say he's tying it all together. Charleston White is an ex-con for Trump. By the way, I want to say something too, just to be clear. I am not MAGA. I'm not pro-Trump. I'm pro-Black, man. I'm pro-African. So I'm definitely not going to be pro-Trump. But sometimes these conversations come up on here that make it seem like we're against Kamala and this, that, and the other, and that's just not the case. So with that said, let me mix it up a little bit. Let me hear from Buana next on this. Buana, what's it?
Koku, with American politics, I take the lead from my American brothers. And based off of what they say, I could really garner what side of the aisle they kind of like fall on. And I could sense that, gentlemen, a real Black gentleman could correct me, but he's on the other side of the aisle towards the more Republican end. And all of us know who the liberals are. All of us know who the liberals are. But I try to put my shoes in both feet, starting from a distance. And when real Black gentleman says that immigrants, why is it that these people are able to garner so much benefit? They have just gotten here. Why are they able to get so many concessions made for immigrants coming up to our shores? And I try to put myself in his shoes. Well, suppose 20,000 people showed up on the shores of the Bahamas, which they usually do. And I know how Bahamians take that. So, and then the government kowtows and allows them many different kind of concessions the regular Bahamian isn't able to get away with. That's a legitimate argument. So even if he is on the Republican side of the game, where they are stoking up the flames of anti-immigration, I understand where he is coming from. At least I absolutely do. That is a very difficult thing to ignore. And even if you are a person who are a Democrat or a liberal-minded person, you wouldn't just want random people to show up in your neighborhood without no one speaking to you, without no one having a conversation with you. And also, they're able to garner certain benefits that you are not allotted. That's a legitimate argument. On the other side of that, I understand Kofi and I understand Black Steel. When Kofi say, well, you can't say with a serious face that the immigrants are creating gangs and crime and prostitution within our area in Chicago, in our impoverished area in Chicago, when all of us know Chicago is a gangster city. I mean, from Al Capone to when the blacks came from the South and established themselves in the North, and then created a lot of gangster disciples, infamous gang. El Rukin I forget what's it? Ford, Larry Hoover. You know, these are popular people within Chicago, and they were engaged in major gang activity, criminal activity in the area. So you can't say with a straight face that what these guys are introducing a feature into our community that we're not used to. In fact, when the conservatives talk about crime and criminality and gang warfare, they refer to your area. This is without even talking about gangs. With these new people coming into your territory. So you can't say they bringing in something that was already there. Come on, bro. Come on. No one is going to take that conversation seriously. No one is going to take that conversation seriously. Also, there's an underlying conversation that people don't want to discuss, I think. There is a drug economy that is on the eastern seaboard of the Americas, in particular in New York City and in Chicago. Where are they getting their drugs from? South America. They're getting Colombia's finest from South America, and this is bringing in all these kinds of having deleterious effects when the eastern seaboard of America. But Americans love drugs, so what are you gonna do? That is a problem that was created way before the immigrants came. So the immigrants are gonna exacerbate the problem, absolutely exacerbate the problem. But don't say that don't present an image like our communities was crime and drug free and harmless before the immigrants came to our area. That's just not a factual statement. It's not a factual statement. You know, come on and defend the argument if it's bullshit now. But I would say this. I try to be able to see things from both sides of the conversation, even though it may be unpopular for both sides. But I try to get some understanding. You know, from where I stand, and I understand the Republicans' perspective, the brothers who are Republican minded, and I understand the brothers who are liberal minded. I understand the position from both sides. So I would just leave it there.
By the way, shout out to the matron. The matron was in the chat tonight too, and I completely forgot to put up her messages earlier when she was saying the government wasn't going to give money to Black folks in the last topic. My apologies for that. Shout out to the matron. Make sure you guys are tuned into the matron. Subscribe to her channel as she does her weekly readings. Should we start number 3? Says the fatherless confuse the nation they're supposed to protect and provide. Anthony McPhail, what say you to what you've heard so far and seen?
Yeah, yeah, man. That was yeah, man. This has been a hell of a night, man. We heard a lot of Negro foolishness tonight, but I look at it like, well, first thing I like what the brother said about what Matron said about the reparations. Like, man, look here, y'all can hang that bullshit up. You ain't never getting no reparations unless you come in with bullets and gun smoke. That's the bottom line on that. That's the only way these white folks giving you anything. Okay, that being said, I think about it's kind of remind me of something, man. Just bear with me just a minute. I know we pressed for time. I remember I was 14 years old. I was going to J.S. Clark Junior High School. And it was a guy named Michael Brown. They called him Pink Panther. That was his nickname, Pink Panther. And you know, I was in the 7th grade, he was like in the 9th grade. And he was kind of like a little bully. And he used to have me so scared, man. Like, I mean, if I seen him somewhere, I'd walk the other way. You know, I wasn't a big dude like I am now. But I know one day it was another guy, his name Jeffrey Smith, we called him Bodine. Okay, now Jeffrey was from one of the most notorious housing projects in Shreveport. He was a 9th grader. One day we were standing at the locker. Jeffrey came up and him and Pink Panther had words, and Jeffrey punched Pink Panther in the head, and Pink Panther started crying. You know what I'm saying? I mean, gangsters he was, and I was scared of this dude. He started crying when this other gangster busted him in the head. Now I'm saying you got some of these gangsters, these young brothers in Chicago, these gangsters, you know, who've been terrorizing the Black community for I don't know how long. You know what I'm saying? I got an uncle who was associated with him, man. He lived in Chicago, and he was associated with a female. You know, he was associated with I think it was the vice lords. You know what I'm saying? You've been running around here terrorizing your own community for I don't know how long, selling drugs and involved in all kind of stuff for so long. Now here come these other people you saying from Venezuela, whoever, whatever gang this is, and now you up here crying about the government doing this for them and they doing this and they taking over this and all, you know, all this old bullshit. I'm like, y'all need to get your mind right, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all really need to get your mind. This is some crap. This sounds like some crybaby shit to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could be gangster. We could be gangster with us. But then we want to cry with somebody when a bigger gangster come up or a bigger bullet come up, you know, and step to us and punch us upside the head by the locker. You know, they need to go on with that bullshit, man. And like I'm saying, it's just, you know, I agree with the other brothers, man. It sounds like some old FBA co-sign with Republican talking point shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like I said, man, it's been a tough night of Negro foolishness, man. I'll leave it at that, man.
Yeah, thank you for that, Anthony. Again, it's, you know, you could say it's been a tough night. There were other topics to do tonight too. We just ran out of time because there was so much good commentary on each prompt so far tonight. Last but not least, though, let's hear from Jose. The fatherless confuse the nation they're supposed to protect and provide. Quote, is Zaddy going to hear our cries? What say you to all of it?
Yeah, the title did what it had to do, a little controversy. I mean, if we want to get to the meat, we got to sharpen each other, right? If we want to cut into the meat. But yeah, I'm satisfied with the reactions. I'm sorry if anybody feels offended, but look at this, right? So in the past 2 decades, I've been in the streets, quote unquote, voluntarily making a point, trying to make a point, and one of the thoughts that I had, you know, I'm looking at this shit show that we have ahead of us. You know, these Western Caucasians, they don't. They made a mess of it again, and how they got rich. That's how they going to defend it, and that's with war, etc., etc. So we got some serious shit ahead, and these are the men. You were looking at the men because it's here too. So I was close to these type of men, and you talk about preparedness, and they actually believe that they are already prepared because if you have your cans in your basement, they have the gun to come and get them, right? So I mean, as others said, you know, they are tough with us, and now they suddenly become citizens, right? They suddenly become dependent of the government. I'm having deputy shame looking at this, right? And I put there the fatherless confuse the nation. Yeah. I mean, our children are looking at this. You know, is this our pride? You know, is this the image of ourselves that we you know, is anybody proud of what he is looking at? I guess no, right? So what is our nation here in Europe and in the West there was one agenda: immigrant, and guess what? Everybody uses our face. So they complain about Muslims and fake asylum seekers, right? So they already have their with the naming of their so-called problem. They aim. So here in Europe, it's fake asylum seekers, right? In Poland, mobs are already roaming the streets looking for fake asylum seekers, right? And fake asylum seekers can be anyone: Southeast Asians, South Asians, Middle East. But the face that they use is always us. Right? With you in the United States, the face that they use is Haitian. What is Haitian? Us. right? So we have shit ahead, and everybody has us as the scarecrow in their mind. What do you think is going to happen when the shit hits the fan? We are going to be the target first by anyone. In here, it's going to be, in my estimation, it's going to be Eastern Europeans and North Africans. North Africans, they have been targeted. But their hate for black people, it's white supremacy is not about who's on top, but who's at the bottom, right? So if you kick North Africans out of frustration, they will look for someone to kick, and everybody has us, black folks, Africans, as the punching bag. So these men that you are looking at, these are the men that we are going to have to face those type of affronts. So I chose the a title that either is a cold shower or whatever to have us think, like how do we actually think, right? So here in the Netherlands, the blacks in the Netherlands, and what is our struggle to get accepted in the Netherlands. Then you have blacks in Belgium, same story. Germany, same story. Great Britain, same story. Ireland, France, Luxembourg, and United States. I don't know how it is between Canada and the United States, but I guess it's the same. I guess blacks in Canada are trying to be Canadian. Blacks in or accepted or in the safety of, however that you call it. But uh, uh, is as Pan Africans, is the Pan African nation, does it come before your passport, or is it a hobby? You know, a question, just an open question for us to think about. Thanks.
I appreciate that, Jose. Does anyone have any last thoughts on this prompt? Any follow-ups to anything anyone else had to say? All right, I know it's been like you said, it's been a tough night. In terms of Negro foolishness, as our brother Anthony put it. Kofi in the chat says, Anthony made a great point. Gangster tears are now relevant because the government put ops in your hood. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. I peeped that in that video too. The gangs were really complaining because of competition from these other gangs. That's very interesting. But that's our show for this week. Before you guys leave the panel, let's get your weekly shout out, something positive, something good in your life, or something you saw around the neighborhood in the black world. Let's get some shout outs there. And by the way, thanks to Ditzel, who was here tonight too. I hope he didn't feel any kind of ways, but Shoot the Breeze has a lot of panelists, and we have a handful of topics we'd like to discuss. So we do need to be a bit succinct in our responses. But shout out to him for coming through. I hope he will continue to come through. I hope we will welcome him in the future, because he brings that, that Latin aspect of the diaspora, for us too. So hopefully he'll be back again. But with that said, let's do our positive shout outs for the week. Kofi, what would you like to shout out this week?
I really have nothing really going on. Just Black Power, love, reach one, teach one, and just be a better person and be an example of that, and just keep it moving. That's all.
Appreciate that. Make sure you guys are subscribed to Kofi the Black Critic. Yeah, he always has a good weekly live these days, so check him out. With that said, Jose, what would you like to shout out this week?
Shout out to everybody that has something going, and may you succeed. And yeah, Yeah, I say that because in these panels we talk, right? And do we walk, or do we wake up tomorrow in the morning and have nothing else going but our job to pay the bills, or what every one of us is a brick in a wall, a wall around our nation. And yeah, may everybody be a strong brick in our wall. Shout out to everybody that's a brick in our wall. That's what that's who I'm shouting out to.
No, that's a whole bar right there. I like that. Everyone is a brick in our wall. I like that. With that said, Anthony, would you like to shout out this week?
Yeah, man. I like to just shout out, black people all over the world, man. All of us black people who are putting forth effort, for our people's survival, man. Our people's progress, man. Our people, restoring, our dignity and getting back where we belong, man. And shout out to all the brothers on the panel, man. Shout out to the brother from Costa Rica too, man. Come back, man. Your conversation is valuable, man. And yours too, Coco. Peace and blessing to everybody, man.
Yeah, shout out to you, Anthony, for the Amiri Baraka video I posted on the community tab. I saw Buana posted his thoughts on it. I think Arthur's there as well. I'll be posting mine soon too. Make sure you guys check out that video and post your thoughts. That could be something that we could converse about in the future. With that said, Black Steel, what would you like to shout out this week?
So I want to shout out my neighbors in my area. So as you know, we had a bad storm come through here. I met a dude just not too long before the show started. Said he had lost everything. The river near me had flooded. The storm made its way through Georgia. A lot of the towns. So there's one town I used to visit when I was a kid on vacation in North Carolina. It's completely gone now because of the storm. These storms are getting more powerful. They're lasting longer. They're causing a lot more damage. This is our reality. I know real black gentlemen is here. Mr. Climate Change isn't real, but it's real. So shout out to everybody who survived this storm, who lost loved ones because of this storm. Just stay try to prepare yourself, because all we got is each other. All we have is our community. We can't depend on anybody except ourselves. And I think we have to realize that we are all we have. Black people, we are all we got. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Appreciate you there, Black Steel. I guess my mic was muted. Appreciate you there for that shout out, Black Steel. In the chat, Afro Negro was asking me about the video that Anthony provided for us to check out. It's on my community tab. That's what it looks like right there. It's about 2 or 3 posts down. Check it out. Really good video, worthy of some discussion in the comment section. So just go ahead and check it out. Last but not least, for shout outs this week, Buana, what say you?
Yes. So let me shout out South Florida, and Black Steel. We just missed that hurricane, bro, and I want y'all brothers in South Florida to stand strong. We know y'all going through it right now, and we know what it is. So, Black Steel, I hope your family is safe. I hope that everyone in your community is safe despite the situation. But I understand how hurricanes could go, so shout out to you all. Let me also say, I appreciate and I am happy sometimes when I can get Black Steel and Anthony frustrated. I like when they get them angry. I like when they get them angry because they are very.
Laugh at my pain, bro. Laugh at my pain. Okay.
Yeah. No. I'm talking about. I'm talking about the discussion. I'm talking about the discussion, not the hurricane. The discussion, because
I know. I figured. I knew.
Yeah. Usually they are very measured in their approach. So I know that my politics sometimes don't jive with theirs. So I like when I get them a little bit upset. A little bit upset, because I know whatever they come back with, they can come back with a well thought out argument an alternative to what I'm saying, and this is what it is all about. It's about intellectual discourse. It's about intellectually sharpening our steel, and also it's about taking the conversations we have somewhere further within our own personal communities and having our community think for themselves as well. We are trying to build a community of thinking people, you know. And if we as people who are thoughtful can get together and think, we gonna also pass that out to within our communities, within our families, and have them being thoughtful people as well. This is how we problem solve, and this is how we make the Black world better. So I think that I'm glad when I challenge the intellectuals in the room, and I'm glad when I piss them off sometimes as well, because I know that that it's gonna create some steam where it's gonna further the discussion elsewhere. So I am, if I could be architect of that, I can try to play a puppet master. But I appreciate the conversation, Coco, as always, and I am trying to work on getting my francophone African people in the conversation as well. I invited them to the conversation, and I don't know if they was here or not, but I'm trying to get them to come on as well, because we are inviting the whole African world into our room and our space to see if we can problem solve our situation and take it to somewhere else. This is what we about, but I'll leave it there, Coco.
I appreciate all of you. That's my shout out this week. Shout out to all the other shows on KWAZ Radio. Shout out to Oni, who's on the continent right now, getting prepared to get married. So shout out to that brother. Make sure to subscribe to his channel. You'll see all his updates from over there as well. Well, we should be back next week. I don't see no reason why. In the meantime, you guys be good. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.